What's happening, chess fans? Welcome to Net Chess and Chill. Today is episode number 83 on my journey to 1200 ELO. So, if you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into today's game. Alright, so we're going to go over a game that I did already play. I had kind of a recording issue. So, this was a game that I played against a man from Denmark, Ove Kehelet. Hopefully I did not butcher that. It was a good game. He played with 75.3% accuracy with the white pieces. I played with 77. I had 2 misses, 1 mistake, and like 6 inaccuracies. So it was kind of a long game. It's like 52 moves. So let's get right into it. Everything starts off normal. It's a Caro Kann. I push c5. We get the knight out. I go to pin his knight. Now, they move their bishop here. I think the main move is, the computer likes taking, obviously, but another main move that people do here is they just pin my knight right back. I'm okay with either combo. I don't really care about it. In the Slav, you got to play a little differently, and you might need to leave the bishop here to help defend possible tactics and stuff over here. I think they can still present them here, but not without risk to messing up their pawn structure just immediately. So I take, and this is something we're familiar with, just the regular advanced Caro Kann here. I played e6, allowing my knight to get out, because the problem with this variation is we can't get our knight to f6 in the advanced Caro Kann because of this pawn, and also we literally never play knight to h6. One, just the bishop taking just leaves kind of an ugly pawn structure. I don't think we want that. So we do this to reroute our knight kind of in this manner. It actually likes me just taking immediately first. So I'll keep that in mind for the future. I usually wait for them to kind of prompt me to take. But I guess in this case, the knight is doing a job, and it can actually maybe jump away. I don't know where it would go, but I think it can do some stuff if it want. Like, it could go back or do something different. I'm not really pinning it right now. I feel like usually when you put your bishop here, you're almost okay with losing maybe even the bishop too. Like, move the knight. I don't know. I don't usually defend my knight. I usually keep it like this unless I don't want to worry about the pin anymore. If I want to move my queen kind of early, then something like this happens. So maybe it's indicative of him wanting to move the queen early. He plays this move. I could take. Normally bishops are better than knights, but I think in this variation you just don't take unless you're prompted. So I don't for a while. I develop my bishop kind of getting ready to castle. The best move in this position is actually to anchor my bishop in. I don't think it's a bad move. I think I should see things like that, but I don't play that way. So like I said, when they finally play h3, that's when I take the knight. Computer likes it. We castle, best move. And again, I'm not gonna take this bishop unless they play a move like this or try to attack my knight. So we get castled. They bring the rook to the file, to the e file. I played a6, and my thought was I didn't want the knight to come in to be to b5. And I didn't want him to get here. I guess it doesn't really matter if he wanted to do that. He just loses a pawn a few different ways. Like, I have plenty of control over this square right now. But I didn't want to allow it just in case I started trading off some of these pieces. I didn't want to be shorthanded. But yeah, so he goes, like I said, to attack my knight. Now his bishop is just on a Garbo square. And I got his bishop. I'm cool. Everything's good. This is a weird structure for me to like break through. Now I can't really have eyes on this anymore. I need to somehow get eyes on this. So I started trying to like change my plan here. But first I wanted to just disallow his knight from just getting anywhere. But really, if that did happen, I would happily trade for it and mess up his pawns right here. To me, that would be fine. He might reinforce this pawn, but these two would be big weaknesses. This one immediately would be a weakness for my knight, so if this pawn was here. Anyways, So I brought the bishop out here trying to get maybe a target on here, and my thought was to get the knight wrapped around to also put pressure on this piece. It's not the best plan because he can literally just push, and I mean, I don't know if I've accomplished much, but I did see the fact that this is a check, and then I could even potentially start trying to gobble other things if everything was in place. Alright, so bishop out, putting pressure there. I brought the rook over to the file first because I thought, why not, right? But I think the computer is liking me doing something like this. I don't know. Not 100% sure, but getting this knight over was kind of my prerogative, but it's really liking me doing this and just having all my pawns on light squares, every single pawn. Because he's got his light squared bishop. And I have my dark squared bishop, so my dark squared bishop just becomes godly when he's at home. Could even like drop it back, do things like this. I don't usually push pawns in front of my king if I can avoid it, but I would like to learn some new openings, and maybe here in the future I'll start trying to play maybe a little bit different. So he does good here because I was about to say I can still, in this position, I can take this pawn because his first line attacker is the queen, and that's not, I mean, he's not going to want to trade a queen for two pieces, I'm sure. So that was a good move with his rook. He goes to attack my knight. I actually counter-attack his rook, saying, if you want to take my knight, that's fine, I'll take your rook. And weirdly, he takes my knight. So I take his rook, and he comes in, I take the pawn with my rook. I'm feeling good about this, right? I'm up the exchange. I thought that was a weird move. It actually says his best move is to, yeah, take the pawn for sure. And when the threat is renewed, I don't know what, let's see. Yeah, and just slide over. Still defending the pawn and then pushing. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was imagining when I was calculating stuff, but I didn't imagine him take. That's a long line. I didn't imagine him taking. So, anyways, we get to this position, and I brought my. He brings the rook over, defending the knight because the knight was definitely hanging. I brought the bishop down to put pressure here, and I thought it was a good move because this just didn't seem like an option anymore with my knight not in the game. But the computer wanted me to actually get my queen on this file off the back rank so I can get my rook over as well. Making a left for my king would be sweet, like at least room to move. I did take the pawn after they pushed, but I don't think that the reason I did it was to put pressure, one, to win a pawn, right? But two, I was like, he's going to need to move his rook first. Because if he doesn't, I'll take it. And then two, this is also hanging. So, yeah, I thought he had to at least acknowledge that first, which he did. But he didn't find maybe the best move. I just dropped my bishop back here, putting pressure here, thinking, hey, I'm going to take the knight. He didn't want that. He dropped the knight back. I actually take the rook. He takes back with the queen. I move the queen on the open C file, asking, hey, man, I'm up in exchange. You wanna tradesies? He obliges. And I'm not going to lie, like, I felt fine here, but I was a little unnerved because I was like, this pawn is pretty far advanced, and he does have, you know, I hate knights, so knights just really bother me. But the reason I'm saying that is they're two connected pawns, and this pawn is going to be one. Like, I don't have a good way to actually defend it. So he actually pushed that pawn, which I don't think is a good move. I think his best move is to move the, yeah, to just attack this pawn immediately, whether this doesn't work, obviously, because of my rook. But yeah, putting pressure on this pawn is definitely the way to go. But he could have hopped around and figured out a way to get his knight involved, maybe, too. I don't know. I'm not going to hold on to the pawn, but he kind of ensures now that I get the pawn. So it ended up being all right, sort of. He got two pawns for it. I can't take the pawn right now, so I decided to march my king in, and I also can't take the pawn right now, unless I want. Actually, I can, and I do. Taking was apparently not the best move, though. It wanted me to move my king, but I was down to do this. It ended up being a mistake because I needed to push my pawn because it's under attack, and this pawn is just like almost unstoppable. And this opponent, I did almost draw. So I'm completely winning here, but I didn't really know how to like make it happen. So this was an inaccuracy. Getting my rook onto a dark square, but a little farther away would have been, I guess, a little bit better. But my plan was maybe I can like get his bishop annoyed, but I keep making these little silly mistakes, like putting my king in front of my pawns. I didn't need to do that. He just wins a tempo. My thought here was, all right, I'm pinning the bishop. If he moves the pawn, I can take the bishop. So I was like, he can't move the pawn. Now he can, but if he moves, well, he still can't move the pawn because the bishop hangs. So I felt like I had kind of like a little thing on him right here. It is. I just am missing the moves, and the moves are to get my king in as fast as possible. And yeah, I just was not reading that. Yeah, if I can get my queen or my king to f4, I mean, I'm just winning, right? Like completely winning. So I do get him there finally, but now it's different, right? Like I can't take this because I'm in check. Whereas back here, if I had moved my king here, he moves his king here. I mean, I still can't get my king there, but say he just moved his king back and I did get my king here. He can't move this pawn, and I can actually maybe threaten to take. If he does do this, I can take the bishop with my king. He probably would have defended. I'm not saying that would have happened, but in this position, I just have to go back. Not the best way to go back. It wanted me to stay on dark squares and maybe try and get in like this. Not 100% sure what I would have done. Rook move, just one square would have been fine. This ended up being a blunder, and I ended up winning on time. But I think it's a blunder, one, just because the pawn hangs, right? But two, now my king's in. You're definitely not getting the pawn back. So even with my king move, I think my king move probably wasn't the best move, but it was a good move. Just stopping his king from going forward. Well, I guess he can't go forward anyways because my rook cuts him off. But I can gobble the pawns and push my pawns, is what I mean. Yeah, so it ended up being a pretty fun game. I played like a 1300, they played like a 1250, and I felt like they played a pretty solid game. Like, I needed to invest more in that outside pass pawn than I did, instead of letting his bishop just gobble it up after some trades. But we were winning, and it was nice. It's fun playing some of these end games and trying to learn them. So I have been neglecting my studies recently, for the past couple months actually, and getting these games like this does help me a lot, refreshes my memory, because I've looked at a lot of these king and pawn endgame positions before. I've looked at rook endgames, I've looked at bishop and knight sort of endgames. Queen endgames are like really hard. I feel like they look so simple, but they end up being really difficult. And rook endgames are actually pretty hard too. But I've been trying to get better, and I will start studying here again soon, because I want to get up to that 1200 ELO mark that we are striving for. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Sorry it was a little bit different. I just had a little bit of trouble recording, and yeah. Anyways, catch you guys next time.